y'all doing? For this book review, I'm going to go over another book by A.K.A. Burroughs, and that is The Land of Hidden Men, also known as Jungle Girl, as it was originally titled. Now, the story is pretty typical A.K.A. Burroughs here, about a guy named Gordon King, a man who is an American, trained to be a doctor. He decides to go off adventuring, and then he ventures to an exotic location of Cambodia. Goes out, explore, do some hunting, that sort of thing. It starts off with him being left by his guide, because his guide saying, I won't take you this far to the jungle. Despite the fact of him being a guide, he won't take him to this area. Dangerous things here, monster, he's kind of superstitious. There's tigers, there's also yetis and other such things. So Gordon King's like, okay, fine, I'll go without you. He comes in, he brings his gun, and he after exploring for a while, he gets lost, of course, and he runs out of food and water. He tries to ration what he can. With no food and very little clean water, he starts getting fevers. He starts to pass out. He swears. He starts hallucinating about people who are walking by him. One is this man who comes by with an umbrella, and everything. And later he finds this huge. He thinks he's seeing this huge caravan of these armored soldiers, and with an elephant carrying this beautiful woman on top, who have a sad expression on her face. He thinks it's all a fever dream, but he wakes up with a couple who are former slaves, now escaped the jungle, living on their own. They're just trying to live out in the sticks, but they slowly bring him back to health. And in the meantime, he starts to learn their language, but of course, while he's still recovering, monkeys take his gun, so now he has to rely on spear and bow and arrow, which he was taught by the people who rescue him. So he stays there a while. He helps them hunt and everything, and gets some jungle craft that he needs to learn. He later finds out that the fever dreams weren't dreams. The man with the umbrella, who he finds, turns out to be a high-ranking priest of a nearby city ruled by a cruel king with a bad case of leprosy. He later finds out that the woman he rescued, who we'll find again, was a woman trying to run off from the city, who she was originally just a dancing girl, but she's now picked into this ruling king's favor, which means she will probably contract leprosy. He's kind of cruel that way, because he, thinks that now that he has it, he's going to spread it to all women, because it was a woman who he claims gave it to him. So, as I say, he was off, and a girl escapes again. They meet. He tries to protect her, and of course he kills a tiger with a spear. And then the guards finally capture them and take him over, and he tries to play nice to the king there. He says, hey, I could be useful to you. I could serve in the guard. And and the girl, she just claims she's homesick from the city, from across the land, and so forth. So the king forgives the girl, takes Gordon King as his new guard. So he learns the layouts of that, and then finds a way to escape with her again. She doesn't want to contract leprosy. She doesn't want to be his bride. She needs to get back home where she belongs. So Gordon King helps her, finds a way to escape, and this time crosses the jungle, the dangers of that, while being chased. Finds out that the city where she's from, well, in the typical A.K.A. Burroughs fashion, she is also a princess there, and before he found out, they started falling in love and everything. So then some more complications occur. Eventually a battle breaks about, and you figure the Leper King's the main villain, but he's only a villain to a point. There's another villain that they find out. Okay, so not a bad story, I'll admit, and I enjoy reading it. The location, the story is not as fantastical as other stories like John Carter Mars or the Lost Continent, where this one takes place, in the real world. It's playing the Lost Empire theme here, where go to Cambodia, look up the Khmer Empire, particularly Angkor Wat, the ancient temples that are there. Very nice, and that's the civilization that he stumbles upon, and it's playing the fact that this was published in 1929, so you still had stories that play on the whole, we haven't explored the world yet thoroughly, so there could be some area in the world where the people haven't caught up, but they've been isolated and haven't caught up with the rest of the world, so we find them basically how they were hundreds or thousands of years ago, that sort of thing. That's what it's playing on here. So now, while I did enjoy this, I kind of like the more fantastical bent of like The Lost Continent, where this one is speculative fiction of what the future was like from Edgar Rice Burroughs' time, as far-fetched as they are by today's standards. Or like John Carter of Mars, the exotic, the fantastical element of a civilization of Mars and things like that. This one, it plays exotic, but it's not bad. But I enjoyed it, as I said. But it just plays the typical adventure thing. Now they have, looking at Wikipedia, apparently they made a 1941 serial adaptation of this story that bears no resemblance towards it. Yeah, they just used Jungle Girl. They set it in Africa. A guy meets a woman who raised a jungle. I don't even know. It's one of those cases where it changed so much. Why did it even say it's even related? But, yeah. I have, say, not a bad book. But it comes to one particular problem. One thing, if you had to critique Edgar Rice Burroughs for, and that's the same for any other writer that does the same thing, it's very formulaic. Once you read a few stories of Edgar Rice Burroughs, it's hard to, unless you really enjoy that type of formula, it's kind of hard to enjoy everything because, it's the same thing over again. I mean, Lost Continent. Guy gets himself caught in an area, a lost area, unknown to the people for whatever reason, and they go through a series of adventures and dangers and everything. Finds a girl. Not only is the girl, the girl and the guy fall in love, she's a high-ranking official of her society, and they continue on their journey until they end up being together. Same thing here. Guy from our world, from our country, goes to Cambodia. He gets, finds this lost empire, meets a girl, falls in love with her. They go on a series of adventures, and so forth. It's the same thing. John Carter, same thing. I'm not so sure exactly how the Tarzan ones, but I'm sure the same thing with him and Jane, at least in some respects. So, probably just stuff like this works best if you really love these type of stories so much, regardless of the it's just a change of dressing. You just like reading it, or if you just like reading a few of them, just to pick your favorites and just leave the rest be, so you don't burn out on them. But then again, that's just some food for thought. Okay, The Land of Hidden Men by Edgar Rice Burroughs, also known as Jungle Girl. There's some for the alternative title. So check out one of the two titles you're interested in. And thank you all for watching. And have a nice day.